Sometimes we die in the middle of our own story, right? Some people die very young. They don't even get to have a whole story. Some people die at the age of 10. These people still have not started their own story. So the idea is that I think that the point of this exercise is to see if we can be the writer in the writer's position, which means, can you write like someone else, and can you be your own self while doing so? If I ask someone else to read the story from the beginning, okay, and they read it with your ending, do you think they're going to feel that two people wrote the story or not?
It depends on their perspective. If they like the thing I wrote and if they believe that it would be a suitable
No. They don't know you wrote an ending. They think that this is the whole story. And if, for example, someone comes in and we print the story as a whole with your ending, and we ask them to read it, do you think they're going to feel like, okay, this has been written by the same person, or they're going to feel like there is a change in the tone or a change
in the technique?
Yeah. Do you think they're going to notice?
I believe so. I'm not that experienced, and the style is very high in the short story, so they may notice some difference when it comes to the techniques used or the style.
Okay, so what do you think is, but we have so many writers who change their voice during the story. Like they can start very complicated and get very simple and go back to being so complicated. My question again, what is more important? Who the character is or what is written? Like, what I mean is, think of a little boy. Now this boy lives in a certain environment.
Yes.
He's going to grow old based on that environment, right? All the choices he's going to make and all the decisions he's going to make are going to be based on the life he's been through, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as the character, Evan, is he going to make, the doctor, is he going to make that decision and go back to apologize? Meaning, if you go back to the beginning of the story, you feel how, like, he sounds so miserable and he doesn't want to do his job.
Yeah.
He's very lazy about it. He hardly got up and answered the phone, and the only reason why he did was because it kept ringing.
Yes.
Do you think a person like that would be good enough to apologize to a certain person they've done wrong to?
He might be a proud person, but it doesn't mean that he's a bad person.
No, not a bad person.
Yes, and the fact that he's a doctor, it means that he appreciates hard work and the things that are great made by any human being. So that he may appreciate that Ivan was a hero once. So yes, I expect that he would apologize.
Okay, but let's talk about logic. Not logic. Do you think that the second he knew that the watch was not his, do you think at that particular moment that was a revelation to him? It opened his eyes to the world. Do you think that you should concentrate on that particular point and make it like magnify it? Meaning, now when he realized that that watch is not his, right? And that the guy was not a thief, at that particular point, it should be magnified. Like if you're going to start to talk about the ending, it's not going to make him suddenly flip into, oh my God, I've done so much wrong to that man, I have to go and apologize. You have to show us how he truly felt. More insight about his thinking. Why? Because you're not just giving us an ending. You're walking through your character to the end. And this is a difference. If you're going to take your character and you're going to make that character a certain end, you need to be with that character and you need to show us the character. The problem is we're going to focus on, we want an ending, so we have to create an ending. But endings don't happen like that. They need to be walked through. That is, again, your character. Okay?
Yes.
Is it wrong, right? No. Nobody can judge a literature and say this is a good piece and this is a bad piece. We simply try to work on the strengths and make them better, and the weaknesses and strengthen them. Okay? So next time when you write, remember that this character is a human being. Okay? For example, if someone you suspected stole something from you, and then you realize that you were so wrong. Now you're going to live in a conflict. I should go and apologize, but then that would make me a bit like, it would remind me of how bad I was when I misjudged that person and claimed that they stole it. So this particular conflict has to be displayed, because you can't just be something and then like suddenly change into another person, okay? And this is what's going to happen with most of what we write. We have to follow our characters. It's not going to be realistic or real, because sometimes we can be fictional, but it has to be reasonable, okay? Unless you're writing 100% fiction, then it's okay, okay? Can I have your name or no? Is he part of the story? Okay, so, you study English, right? Good. Now, I don't know what exactly you took with Mr. Rifat, but today we're going to be more practical, and we're going to write and enjoy writing. Now, let's go back a little bit to what creative writing is. Can you define creative writing? What does it mean to creatively write?
Free writing.
Free writing.
Imagination.
Okay,
fiction.
so we have imagination, fiction, rewriting. What else? We're talking about creativity. What does it mean to be creative? What makes a person creative and another person not creative?
To be inspired by.
Inspiration, thank you. This is a key word. And today we're going to discuss inspiration. Yeah, what else?
Describing the feeling.
Okay, so description. What else? What makes a person creative? What makes you judge something that is creative? Like, for example,
Unusual.
someone,
Unusual.
it's
Something-
unusual, okay. Let's imagine two women who are, one of them is baking cookies and the other one is baking a cake, okay? Personally, I like cakes, I don't like cookies. So I'm going to think that the person who made this cake, it was simple, wasn't much, but I loved it because I love cake. So I'm going to think that this person is creative. Why? Because she did something I love. Someone who loves cookies more than they love cake, they're going to be like, wow, this person is so creative, she can make cookies. Let me go back a little bit. If I can't make cookies, and I see someone who can make cookies, I'll be like, wow, this is creative, right? If I can make cake, and the other person can make cake, then I'll be like, there isn't much in that. I know how to bake cake too. That will be your response to anyone who says, I can bake. You'll be like, yeah, I can bake too. Now, if we move one step forward and think of what's going to make one cake more delicious than the other, or more creative than the other. Decoration.
The way you prepare it.
The way you prepare it, excellent. Are you going to use the right ingredients, or are you just going to use anything in the kitchen, right? So this is what creative writing about. You have to write using the right ingredients, okay? When you want to be creative, you're going to have to go, as they say, outside the box. Because as long as you're inside the box, there are so many other people with you inside the box. So what you do is that you open the box and you go out. Why? Because the moment you realize that you can write anything and do anything, it's the moment when you start writing creatively. Okay? Do I make sense? Does it make sense? Does the whole cake make sense? Makes you hungry a little bit or anything? Okay, good. Why do we write? Do you have any reason for writing? Like, I can understand why people write academically. Why do we write? Why do we free write? Why do we write creatively? Why do we write stories? Why do we write poetry? Any ideas? Yeah.
Express our thoughts, ideas,
Okay, so to
emotions.
express something,
Convey something.
and to convey something, a certain message. Good, what else? Yes, please.
Revealing the pain.
Pain, so revealing emotions.
To heal.
To heal. Wow, that's deep. Okay, what else?
To be human.
To be human. So I'm going to ask you another question now. Why would you read a creative piece? Why would you read a story? Why would you read a poem? Like you write because you want to convey something. Why do you read? What makes you want to read?
To get something.
To get something.
I want to know about it.
You want to know. Can we have a good pen? Okay. So we read for the same purposes we write. Sometimes you're craving, you want to eat a delicious piece of cake, but you can't make cake. So you go and buy a delicious piece of cake. Simple as that. You want to drink lemon juice, but when you make lemon juice, it's either too sour or it's not good. You make really bad lemon juice. So you go and buy from someone who really knows how to make lemon juice. Sometimes we need to heal, so we go read something that's healing. For example, sometimes people lose someone very close to them, but they're in so much pain and they're incapable of expressing it. They don't know how to explain the feelings they have. Have you ever felt something you couldn't explain? Like you were either too angry, too sad, and you just didn't know what to say. You just wanted to be left alone, and you just wanted, again, to be alone. Have you ever felt like that?
True.
At that particular...
All the time.
All the time, exactly. We do feel that all the time. So what we do is that we either go and read something about someone who shared a particular experience similar to ours,
Yeah.
and then we go like, wow. Like I remember reading so many poems that expressed exactly how I felt better than how I would have said it. Mainly because some people are creative. But does that mean we can't be creative? No. See, creativity is something we're born with. We just don't know about it yet. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to explore our creative side. We're going to not learn, but see how we can trigger that creativity, how we can make it, like it's there, deep down. What we're going to do is that we're going to make it go to the surface together, okay? But before that, I would like to show you a video of a very inspiring speech. It's not a speech, it's like 2 minutes long, but are there any tissues here? These tissues? Can I have some? What's the difference between saying something and writing something? What's the difference? Have you ever regretted something you wrote?
No.
Something you wrote. Have you ever regretted something you wrote? Have you ever regretted something you said?
Yeah. Most of the time.
Who here regretted something they once said to a certain person? They were like, I should have not said that. I am so wrong for saying that. I did.
Yeah.
Have you ever wrote something, say a comment? Yeah, sometimes with comments we do regret saying it, but technically comments are like talking because you're like at the spot and you just want to respond. But say you wrote a piece and like a homework or something and you regretted writing it. You were like, I should have not written it. No, it's rare. It's very, very rare.
I need a big achievement, like so.
Exactly, because when we write, we put everything we have. We put our soul and our heart to what we write, except with homework. Because usually with homework, we just want to get it done. But generally speaking, when we write anything, have you ever written a letter to your mom when you were a kid? When you were a child, have you ever written something for your mother or father?
Every day.
I used to do that. Did you ever do that? Well, men are different from the emotional women and stuff. Have you ever written anything for your parents?
Discrimination.
No, it's not discrimination. No. It's more like an
We are human
understanding
beings.
of the difference.
We are human beings.
The
We have
difference.
feelings, we have hearts.
Yes, but you don't express your feelings. That's the difference. That's what I'm not talking about women and men. Quite the opposite. It's very admiring to see people who have feelings but they don't share it. We, women generally, we express our feelings without, like, you can find a woman crying in the street, she wouldn't even feel bad about it because it's what we do.
I do cry, I didn't feel bad about
In the street?
it. Yeah, anyway.
Okay then, you're a lucky person. Good. Okay, this isn't working ولا ايش الوضع؟ انا نزلت اياها عشان ما يصيرش مشاكل. What I was trying to say.
I understand, but I want to just like you were talking about being out of the box.
Mhm.
These notions are box.
The idea of men and women?
Yeah.
But
so
come
you
on.
can find some like men. They do what you are talking
Okay,
about. Like
but what's the general concept of men? Like, generally speaking, out of the thousands and millions of men out there, how many of them express their emotions openly? It's a very little percentage. Like, most of men don't express. Most of women express, and this is what I meant.
The Arab world.
No, not in the Arab world, everywhere. And I'm talking about, again, like, here, most of those...
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world. Now see that look in Mr. Pitt's eye? Like 19th century literature has nothing to do with going to business school or medical school, right? Maybe. Mr. Hawkins, you may agree with him, thinking, yes, we should simply study our Mr. Pritchard and learn our rhyme and meter and go quietly about the business of achieving a...
And I'm sorry if I was by any chance, like, I didn't mean to say that in a bad way. I meant it in a good way.
No, I really understand.
Okay, good. Okay, so now we're going to watch a very, very short video about writing poetry in particular. But while watching, I want you to think of it as general writing. Don't think of it only about poetry. I want you to think about it like short stories, novels, whatever it is. Okay? Clear?
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world. Now see that look in Mr. Pitt's eye? Like 19th century literature has nothing to do with going to business school or medical school, right? Maybe. Mr. Hawkins, you may agree with him, thinking, yes, we should simply study our Mr. Pritchard and learn our rhyme and meter and go quietly about the business of achieving other ambitions. A little secret for you. Huddle up. Huddle up! We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. And medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. The powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse." What will your verse be?
get from that? Can someone tell me? What did you understand from that? What did he talk about? He talked about how, okay, yes,
He
please.
described the purpose of writing poetry and that it's not all about writing it for the sake of writing it. It has purposes such as expressing thoughts and ideas.
Okay, good. What else? Please.
I think he suggests that writing is not a job. Writing is something like breathing or eating. It's a way of living.
Excellent. What else? At the very end, he said, the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. What does he mean with play here? Does he mean the actual dramatic play or what? He's talking about life, right?
Yeah.
So life will keep going and you may add something to life. You may contribute a verse to life. You may add your own print to this world, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, do you think it's true? Do you think words can change the world?
Yes, absolutely.
Have you ever, when you were in primary school, has any of your teachers told you that you're a bad student? عمركم حد حكى لكم you're a bad student? Like, they were like, you did not do your homework. You're a very bad student. I was told that many times. many times. And it hurt, right? It hurt. Because you're like, at least you show some respect. I came to your class, didn't I? It's enough I came. You want me to write my homework too? That's a lot. So at some point, what people say to us affects us. So words can affect us. Have you ever felt so down and so bad and so sad, and someone came and told you something really good? Like they told you, why are you sad? You're the greatest person I've ever met. You shouldn't feel sad. Did it or didn't it make you feel happy? That you were, like, someone told you something and it made you happy. We, like Muslims, generally, if our parents say, Allah yarda alayk, Allah yarda ankum, we'll be like, today is going to be the best day of my life. And if they say the entire opposite, it's going to be the worst day of our lives. So words can truly, deeply affect us, right? How can we change the world? By saying things. Can you think of a famous person who said something and affected the world? A speech. Have you ever heard a speech and you were like, I'm going to change my life now. I'm not going to be the same person. No? Never? Never?
I forgot his name.
It's okay, I don't need the name. Just tell me what happened.
Yeah, he was talking about self-confidence, and his name was like Joseph or something like that.
It's okay.
He's a doctor at one of the university in the States, and he was talking that how much the negative self-talk for ourselves affects us and the positive at the same time. So he was talking about this topic.
And it changed you. It made you more self-confident.
Yeah.
Okay, who else has gone through something similar? Or has heard about someone who did something similar? Or felt something similar? Please.
I didn't remember the speech, but I remember the George Orwell for his novel 1984.
One of the best
It's
novels.
very changeable.
Yes, it does. Okay, so what can you tell us about it?
Okay, he expected the political regimes in 1984 when he lived in 1949.
Okay, it's okay about dates. I don't mind about dates.
Yes.
Just go in and tell me about the novel, how it affects, how it changes. In the novel, he talks about how bad, political regimes control the people and how the people should be more aware. As a person who reads the novel, if they don't know that the governments of the world are evil and that sometimes some governments can be evil, that person would feel enlightened. They'll be like, wow, governments can be evil? That's new. So by reading something as powerful as 1984, we as readers learn more about life. Although the novel itself is fictional and has so many like unbelievable details, it still affects reality. It still affects us as human beings because in a way or another, although fictional, it's still realistic and it still touches our reality. Thank you very much. Who else would like to comment, please?
I saw something on YouTube, and it was about time and how to make good habits. He was talking about, that the whole process of making a good habit is, tiring at the beginning, but then when we get used to it, it becomes much easier, and that we could make many things when we control our ideas and positive ideas.
I get what you mean. Okay, thank you. Have you ever heard of TED shows? Like the TED show, the talk TED?
Yeah. Whom are you talking about?
It's from TED. So
Yeah.
TEDx or TED shows are mainly about people who get on stage and talk to people. They tell them, yeah, exactly. They inspire people. They talk about their experiences and they talk about something they've done in their lives or a new piece of information that nobody ever heard of. And all of these things, why? Because what they say is going to change someone's life, right? What anyone says is going to change someone's life. Like I said, if you send your best friend a message in the morning saying, Alhamdulillah, you're a friend of mine, they're going to spend the whole day happy and probably show the message to everyone they know. Well, we girls do that. Okay. My point is, and before I get to my point, have you ever heard of, say, Martin Luther King?
Yeah.
He's a black man who delivered a speech that was called I Have a Dream, and he talked about equality between the white and the black. And his speech was very famous because it was talking about a very essential matter, black people and white people. And the way he said it, I recommend you read it or listen to it. He said it with emotions because he was a black man and he knew how it felt to be discriminated. He knew how it felt when other people are so racist and they mistreat them, okay? Now, if we're going to link that to ourselves as Palestinians, this could ring a bell or two. I can write and be so emotional about my Palestinian right and then show the world how discriminated I am. This could be one of the reasons what some people write, okay? Why some people write. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you an idea of how important writing is. Although by coming here it means that you already know that. But it's okay, I can be a very good reminder sometimes. Okay, so let's go back to our first activity for today. In order to write creatively, you need to learn to let yourself open. You need to learn to let go of this world and start going somewhere else with your own imagination and thinking. I remember when I was a very young girl, like I was very, very young, there was this movie, and in the movie, there was a tablet with a touch screen. I still remember it this day because I always dreamt of, wow, one day I might have something similar. Now back then, to me, it was an imaginary thing, but today we all have touch screens and we all have tablets and we all know what they are and so on. So what I want to say is that imagination grows with us. Like right now, I'm not going to imagine an iPad with touch screen because I know that they exist. So what you're going to do is that you're going to learn to let yourself go, and you need to learn to expand your thinking and your imagination and start embracing the world from a different perspective. To do that, you need to learn to notice the details. So first thing you keep in mind is that you need to learn to notice the details. If I ask you to look at the board, can you look at the board? Can you look at the board? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to look at the board. Okay? Can you see the board? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, to look at the board. One, I want you to like turn your faces. Don't look at the board. Stop looking at the board. I want you to tell me what's on the board. What's on the board? If you can remember one thing other than what I wrote, then you noticed the details. If not, then you didn't notice the details. Who could describe the board for me? Well, you did look at the board.
Yeah.
Please.
There are many scratches on the frame.
But this is, but everyone can see that. Give me one detail.
On detail.
Without looking at the board.
There are a piece of paper like on the left. It's yellow.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
If I ask you to draw it on paper, can you draw it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What other details didn't you notice about the board? Any ideas? I did ask you to look at the board for 10 seconds. Okay, my point is, when we want to notice the details, we need to look at everything. If I ask you to describe the room, don't tell me that there are shelves on there are shelves and books on the shelves and that there are tables and people, because we can all see that, right? I know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in this room, 10 if I include myself. Everybody knows that. Everybody in this room knows that. What is the different thing that you can add to what this room is about depends on you. Okay? Am I making sense or not? If I ask you to describe the room, give me one detail about the room, what are you going to say? Give me it's a big room with a lot of things, but I want you to look for details. Details that other people will not notice. Look for details another person is not going to notice. Don't tell me there is a computer in the room. I want details, again, that nobody's going to notice. A scratch, a piece of paper on the wall, anything. No, I'll give them time. I'll give you 1 minute to think of something, and then we'll hear your thoughts. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, give me a detail. Ahmad? Okay. One detail.
The conditions.
Okay, what about it? I can see that there is a condition in the room. Give me something special about the condition.
Gold unique.
They are not well.
The brand gold.
Okay, good. I can see the brand. So that's a good addition. What else? How does that, there is a logo. How does the logo look like? It looks like a fork, right? It looks like a fork. So my idea could be, there is a fork on the air conditioner. Now that's something new. There is a circle on the air conditioner. It looks like a camera.
But is it important for the reader to know such?
No, it's important for you as a writer to notice the details.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use, why do we use our imagination? To be able, our noticing the details helps us with metaphors and similes. Helps us give life to what we're writing. If I tell you that there was this story, a mark, was it called A Mark on the Wall? Regina Woolf? A Mark on the Wall? I think it was called A Mark on the Wall. Anyhow, she keeps describing a certain mark on the wall, and then at the very end you discover that the mark on the wall was an insect.
Yeah.
Okay? So, as a person who sees an insect or a mark on the wall, I'm not going to care about it. I'm going to look the other way. What makes you a creative person is that you're willing to enjoy looking at a mark on the wall and thinking what it could be. There are so many poems about spiders. We generally crush spiders. If we see a spider, we kill it and move on with our lives. There is a poem that describes spiders in detail. Now, why did that person write about spiders? It's not because they're creepy or scary, but because they noticed what we didn't. Okay? Is it important for the reader to know the details? No, but if you're going to write something for your reader, it has to be different and it has to be special. Right? Because if both of us talk about the air conditioner, how great it is and how good it is and that it works using electricity, okay, that's very boring. But if we talk about the things we didn't notice, like there is a fork on it, there is a circle, it looks like a book my mother once bought for me, it reminds me of something, it shows me something. So once you start noticing the details, it's once you start building on those details. And when you start building on your details, you're building your own story or your own poem or your own novel. And imagine yourself writing, let's say, 100-page novel. If you're not going to use the environment around you, if you're not going to be inspired and put your 100%, your reader is not going to go past page 5. They're just going to stop reading because you're either boring, dull, or whatever. The beautiful thing about poetry is that it gives you metaphors that you've never thought of your whole life. I remember a poem for, what was his name? John Donne.
Yeah.
And it was about, has anyone ever heard of it, The Flea?
Yeah.
He talks about how the flea, like you know what the flea is,
Mosquito.
right? Like the mosquito, that it joins and blends his blood and the blood of his beloved, so it's made like
Mingles,
this.
yeah.
This insect, this very disturbing, annoying insect, is a symbol of love and bonding and pure things and beautiful things. Now, as a person who hates fleas and mosquitoes, you'll just simply kill it. You're not even going to bother thinking that it could be a sacred creature that would have and blend your blood with the blood of someone who's close to you, right? So, does this again make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to
the details.
the details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many cables on the ground and
Okay,
in
good.
different places, like
So we have so many cables. How would the cables make you feel? What do they look like? Is there anyone here who's afraid of snakes?
yeah.
I'm afraid of
Us,
snakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so seeing so many wires and cables, you'll be like, they would remind you of snakes and they would make you feel like you're suffocated. Like imagine if
Yeah.
suddenly these wires turn into snakes.
Yeah.
That's a story. I can write a story about how I was attending a lecture on creative writing and suddenly the cables turned into snakes and they killed all of us.
Yeah.
Does sound
Great,
scary and
yeah.
bloody, but you know what I mean.
Interesting story.
Or you could, no, I'm running out of ideas. Okay, what else? Any other ideas? Yes, please.
We are in a place where time is very important, while that clock on the wall up there doesn't work.
Excellent. This is excellent. So
This is
she
my
was,
idea.
okay, then we have two excellent thoughts. The fact that we need batteries for the clock, because here it's important. Most of you came late, and well, we'll blame the clocks now that they're not working. That's very brilliant. So she connected this room, this atmosphere, with the fact that that clock is like, it doesn't work. Let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond that. Let's wonder what happened, what was happening the second the clock stopped ticking. So the first step is that we acknowledge that there is a clock in the room and the clock is not working. So now we're going to go out of the box and think, what do you think was happening the second that clock stopped? It stopped at 7, that's 35, right? 7:35? No, 7:40. So it stopped at 7:40, right? Right?
6:40.
Okay, 6:40. شايفها at 7:40 مش مشكلة. So it stopped at 6:40. Now, first question, was it in the morning or at night? Was it cold or hot? Was it scared? Could the clock, like, you know, some people die out of shock. Was it shock that it died? The battery died. Why did the battery die? Did it lose someone special? Did the battery die because someone special was taken from her? See, this is going beyond what we have. So first, notice the details, then go beyond them. There is an exercise I always do when I'm out. If I'm ever in a car or I'm walking in the street, I always look at the people around me and start thinking how their lives are. Now, if I'm riding with a woman, I start thinking about the problems she might be having. What did she do this morning? Who was she 10 years from now? Have I ever met her before? And if I have, why don't I remember her? This is a good exercise to noticing details, to understanding people. For example, I don't know most of you, okay? Now, in my imagination, I'll be creating stories to whoever and each one of you is, okay? And you should do the same. We'll go back to the details. Right now, I'll give you 2 minutes or 3 minutes to think of a possible history to to one person in this room. يعني, for example, I'm going to say that Yusuf was, when he was a kid, he was a good boy and he used to go to school regularly and he was a good kid, okay? Now, this is a short version of what you're going to do. You're going to pick a person without telling us the name. It's okay. Just pick a person and start imagining their lives, how it was before coming here. For example, you all came late. Most of you came late. So I'll be wondering, why did they come late? Maybe they came late because they overslept. Maybe they forgot to come on time. Maybe something happened. If something happened, what was that thing that happened? Maybe there was a car accident while they were here. Maybe it was traffic. Maybe their mother told them to take the garbage while going out, and then the garbage bag, it was ripped open, and they had to clean it, and so on. So this is what you're going to do now. Think of a person and start imagining who they are, what they're like. And if you can go be like, maybe that person is wearing red because red is their favorite color. But if it's their favorite color, why is it their favorite color? Does that mean they're angry because red sometimes symbolizes anger? Or does that mean they're nice people who are very loving because sometimes red shows love? Why do we ask these questions? Why do we do these things? Because this is how we start noticing the details, and this is how we create ourselves a whole world outside the box we create for ourselves. Okay?
Yeah.
Good? Are we going good or not?
Yeah.
Am I causing you headaches?
No.
Are you sure? Because you can't take any pills until Maghrib. Try not to have any headaches. Okay, so 3 minutes. Do you need a pen and paper? Do you need a pen and paper? Yeah, I know. You know, can I know your names, those who came late? Can I please know your names?
محمد عمرو.
أهلا وسهلا. طبعا أهلا وسهلا أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا. Okay. 1 more minute.
هيك خلص أضعف.
راح نشتغل صح.
Okay? Who would like to go first? Okay, let's stop. We're not writing their biography, we're just glimpses of their lives. Okay, who would like to go first? Would you? Okay.
And I think from your qualities, from your presentation, the ideas showing the details or the lessons, I think you are an organized person, whether in the organization of the time or organization in your mind or in your showing the ideas.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll keep that in mind and I'll tell you how wrong you are. Because I am the last person on earth to be called organized. Okay, thank you. But this is good. This is good. Thank you. We'll talk about that. Who else would like to show us what they wrote? Yes, please.
He thinks of himself as a writer. What a foolish, pathetic man. Because his teacher 10 years ago described his piece of crap as a professional writing. He thinks he's going to be a writer. Few days ago he registers for creative writing course, but look at him, he came always late. He don't have the passion nor the ability.
Oof, مين فيهم هو ولا هو?
It's an imaginary person.
It's an imaginary person. Excellent. So you made it very connected to reality, but still it had that touch. Like 10 years ago, that person was told that you can write, and then suddenly now he lost the passion. He comes late, he doesn't feel the spirit, and so on. Excellent, thank you. Who else would like to try? Who else? Okay, yes, please.
Okay, she's a lovely girl. She's that friendly person who's in love with jokes and simple things. She wears calm colors and she loves pink. This actually tells a little bit about her shy personality. She's ambitious so that she always tries to move forward and knock her success.
Okay, excellent. Who else would like to try? And remember, you're thinking about them as people. When we talk about people, let's talk about their emotions. It's what makes us different from other creatures. We have emotions, we think, and you have to know that in order to write, you have to be really emotional. Because this is the difference between a factual piece and a literary piece of writing. Literature is all about emotions. Even if they're negative emotions, it's still emotions, okay? Would you like to try?
Okay. She used to attend all her lectures at the university. She cared about her life and she cared about her parents. She used to do all her homework and she cared about her outside appearance.
Okay, good. What else? Mean by Lina?
He was a smart student. He never came late and he attended every single class. He always got high marks. Sometimes he looks like a lone who's thing to some people, but his character is not bad. He is optimistic.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, he was a brilliant student. and he decided to enroll in English department at IUG. His ambition will be a great translator and prof of translation studies.
Okay, the question is, did you write about people from your own perspective, your own desires, your own wishes? Were you reflecting yourself, or were you talking about another person?
No, another person.
Like deep down, are you an organized person?
I hope so. I don't know. We are.
Are you? Do you organize your time and?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think you were talking about an optimistic person? Are you an optimistic person?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes. Okay. What was the other thing you mentioned?
Get a high mark.
Yeah. Do you get high marks generally? Generally, not university, because it's hard to get high marks at university. It's okay. I know that.
Yes.
Okay, good. So again, the question is, when you describe these people, did you describe them from how you saw them or from what they could be? And what's the difference?
What they could be.
What they could be. So it's not how you think they are. How can we detach ourselves from our prejudices, from our judgments? Meaning, how do I objectively describe another person and talk about their lives without inserting my own perspective in it? Is that possible?
I think it's impossible.
It's impossible. Good. It's not possible because I'm making this imaginary world. I'm talking about this world. I'm creating it in my head. So if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to be there. So the I cannot be dropped because I'm doing it. So if I say, this person was smart and funny and good, I'm saying that that person was smart and funny and good because easily, if I bring someone here and I ask two people to imagine that person's life, we're going to have two different perceptions of what that person is, right?
Yeah.
So, how can this serve us in writing? How can this be useful in writing? Now that we know that we can't be objective, how can this help us in writing? I know that I can't be objective, that I'm going to be there when I describe my characters, right? Now I'm going to write a story, and the story is going to have multiple characters, okay? As a writer, I need to be able to write different characters. Meaning, if I'm going to have a father, a mother, and a daughter, okay? Now, I'm going to write the three characters. If I'm going to write the three characters the same, then there's going to be a problem because no father is like the mother, is like the child, okay? So, how can I, through knowing that I can't be objective, write better?
Describing other characters, I can describe myself as well. I can reflect myself, my own ideas and my own thoughts, and the way I think of people and the way I judge them.
Okay. Any other ideas? Okay, I want you to imagine a mom and a dad and a child. One happy family. Or are they sad? So number one, when you write, you need to choose the perspective. Again, number one, when you write, you need to choose the perspective. Am I going to be writing about a happy family, or am I going to be writing about a sad family? If you're going to choose the first door, and you're going to talk about a happy family, you yourself need to be happy, okay? Because if you're sad and miserable, and feeling horrible, and you're going to talk about a happy family, you're going to make them the most miserable family in the world, simply because you, as the writer, who cannot be objective and is 100% subjective, is miserable. Again, if I'm going to write about an optimistic story, I need to be optimistic. Because when I'm optimistic and I'm writing about optimistic things, then I'm going to notice the details that would make my story more optimistic. Meaning, now, who loves sunrises or sunsets? Who loves sunrises and sunsets or sunsets? Who loves the moon? Excellent, good. I'm glad we have people who love the moon. Have you ever felt so sad and watched the moon and thought, you're such a sad, lonely creature who's living in space all alone, just like me? Again, think of a sad moment. You looked at the moon and you thought, like, we're both sad, we're both lonely, we both have nobody. Have you ever felt like that? Never? Never?
Yes.
Okay, have you ever been really happy and looked at the sky and you were like, wow, the stars are so much shining and they're so with the moon and it looks so perfect, and you notice that there are stars, not just the moon, and you notice that the sky from afar is huge and beautiful because you were happy. So what we see around us is a mirror of how we feel. How I see you depends on how I feel. Meaning, if today I came, I'm very happy and I'm very excited, and I see you, and I'll be like, I'll see excited people in front of me, although you look the opposite, but I'll be like, I'm excited, so they're excited. If I'm bored and the person in front of me is the most like exciting person in the world, I'll be like, I just want to go home and sleep. Simply because I see my surroundings through my eyes. And my eyes are connected to my heart. And my heart is all about emotions and feelings. Okay? Now I was going to show you a picture now. I'll show it to you. You're going to look at a certain picture, and we're going to think of how when we look at the picture, it could both look beautiful and ugly. It depends on where we look and which details we focus on. Meaning, now imagine a day, a happy family goes out. Okay, we have a mother, she has 2 old sons and 3 daughters. Okay, and they go out to the beach and they spend the whole day there. They're so happy and having so much fun. Now when I ask you to write about them, a mom with 2 old kids and 3 girls and their happy day at the beach, now what would you write? Yes?
It's absolutely not possible to do the opposite.
What opposite?
I mean, if you're not happy, write a story, happy story.
If you're not, this is the escaping, and we're going to talk about it. Escaping our realities. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to go like.
I think it's easier. Like if you are happy, it's easier to flow with your feelings.
And when you're sad, you can write. Trust me. If your heart is broken, you can write a masterpiece about pain, or a masterpiece about healing, like Yusuf said.
No, I mean, like, you can wear, the front hat and write. Like, if you are pessimistic.
You can write, but it's not going to be as good. Will you be able to write? You're going to write, but it's not going to be as good. Why? Because you're going to need to be feeling it in order to be able to express it. If you're not feeling it, it's not going to work. Like, have you ever felt bad and someone told you, كيف حالك, and you said, I'm fine, but you weren't fine? And they knew that you weren't fine. Simply because you can say, yeah, I'm very fine, and you can throw a very big smile. But it's not going to be convincing because they can read your eyes and they can see that you're not fine.
And you can act as well.
You can act, but you're not going to be a good actor. Even good, have you ever seen a movie and you were like, the acting is bad? Some people are just bad actors. Some people are really good actors. Some writers, they can embrace their character and they can be really happy through their character, although they're miserable. It can happen. But again, we're talking about the general perspective. Now, imagine yourself describing your journey to a deserted island. Okay. Now, if you're going to describe that island, well, you've never been to any islands before, and you've never seen any islands before, what you're going to say is not going to be 100% guaranteed to be true. Meaning, I'm going to describe a land where there are fairies, for example. Now, a land where there are, okay, let's go back to the fairies. So, if I'm going to describe the land with the fairies, and then I'm going to say that it's exhibited by multiple creatures and humans, and then I start talking, but I don't know anything about fairies, and I don't know anything about islands. My description of that place is not going to be accurate. If you've ever watched any documentaries about how they make movies and how the actors go and, if for example it's a medical TV show, the actors go and meet real doctors. They actually do that. If it's about engineers, they go and meet real engineers, because if you don't know what you're talking about, your description is not going to be as good and as well structured as if you really knew what you're talking about. Yani, who's better than a sad person to talk about sadness? Who's better than a happy person to talk about happiness? Right? As much as you like, you can say, I have a very big imagination. I know how to write about happy stuff, even if I'm the most miserable person on earth. Yeah, but think of another person who's really happy, who just got promoted, got married, got his first child. Now that person is happy, and that person will be 100% better than a miserable man to talk about happiness. Because the adrenaline and the feeling is going to be reflected in what you write. And this is exactly what I mean. Okay? Going back to the family we discussed that is going to the beach. Did anyone notice anything about what I said? If you did, I'd get you chocolate, because I can't give you marks, but I'd get you chocolate. What was something missing in what I said? There was a missing thing, a very essential thing, and it was missing.
What is it about?
I told you about the story of the family that's going to the beach, right? I said that, right?
Yeah.
Twice. And there was something missing, a very important part missing. What was it?
Their mother?
Excellent, thank you. I said that there was a mother, two young children, two young boys, and how many girls? Like, say, three girls. And they go to the beach. And they're very happy, but there isn't a father, right? So, as a person who's going to write their stories, I'm either going to talk about how special their day was, or how sad they were, because they didn't have their father with them. So how I look at the thing, from which angle, is going to decide my writing. Do I make sense? Again, now we said that we have a mom, children, they're happy, they're at the beach. If I ask you to write a story about it, how many of you is going to remember that there isn't a father? You're just going to describe how happy the family is, what they did, the type of food they ate, the type of drinks they had, and so on. Very little people who notice the details will talk about the missing piece, the father. So when you see things, don't just look from a distance, get closer to what you're looking at. Don't say that this room has shelves and books and tables and people. Get closer to the people in the room. Talk about their own experiences, their own feelings, how they look today, how they feel today. Talk about the cracks in the wall. Do you know what the crack is? الشق اللي في الحيطان. Maybe the walls are sad. Maybe they're sad because they've seen so many people, nobody stayed. Everybody who comes leaves, so the walls are being torn apart. Think about the window. Think about the curtains. Give everything around you a sense of emotion. See them differently. Don't say this is a laptop. Say that this poor creature has to work and serve others. Okay? So don't look at things from a distance. Get closer to them. And this is going to help you when structuring your characters. Because if you're going to write a story, you're going to need to be friends with your character. You need to understand how they feel. You need to be part of their emotions. Because if you don't construct it carefully, you're not going to be like doing it, no, let's not say perfectly. You're not going to be doing it in a good way. Imagine someone who's going to write about a university professor, okay? Now, we all hate university professors, it's a fact. Mainly because we always feel that they're either unjust, they didn't do us right, or they wasted time in lectures. It's a fact. There is at least one person we're thinking of right now, and that professor is a horrible person. And this goes for doctors and engineers and everyone out there, or normal people, okay? Now, if I'm going to write a story about professors, and I hate professors, then I'm going to make them sound like they're the worst monsters on earth. I might probably say that while the professor was correcting the exam, he had horns coming out of his head, his eyes were full of fire, he would write a big zero on the paper and curse the person, the student, and so on. And this is true because I hate teachers, I hate professors. Think of dentists. Some people are afraid of dentists, right? Because they have big machines and they play with our mouths and teeth, and it's scary. And if I'm going to write about dentists, I'm not going to say that they take the pain away, although doctors take the pain away. I mean, the dentist plays with your mouth to make the pain go away. But because you're afraid of dentists, the only thing you're going to see is a big machine inserted into your mouth, and that's where the scary thing begins. Okay? So, make sure that you're choosing an angle that suits you, that matches you. Because if you can 100% embrace what you're writing, embrace your characters, then your piece will be 100% perfect because it's honest, it's from the heart, and it's who you are. Okay? And that's how you can be creative. And this is why I told you we're all creative. So just we need the trigger that triggers the creativity. Because we all have emotions and we all experience things in life. Okay? Now, I am going to ask you to think of a certain person you really, really, really hate. Like really, really hate. Is there a certain person you feel like, if that person was never born, I would have been a really happy person?
Yeah.
Can you think, wow, Ramadan الدنيا. But it's okay, it's okay. You can remember someone from your childhood, a teacher who was bad to you, anything you want. And I want you to describe them. Describe that person. Describe a person you really, really, really hate. Someone you feel like, if I see him now or her, I would slap him or her in the face and just get rid of all the anger issues I have. Okay? So I want you to think of a person and I want you to describe them. Not tell us what happened, don't tell us what happened, I just want you to describe them. That's it. Okay. So I'll give you 1 minute to describe them, or 2. Are you having headaches or not yet? No headaches? Good. Okay. بلاش يعني من أول يوم كده. Anyone done? And don't imagine people. I want it to be real. Think of a real person. Okay? Of a person you really, really hate. Anyone done? Okay, who's done? 1 minute, okay? Less than a minute, 30 seconds, and then we're done. Are you all English measured? No? English? Which year?
Senior year.
Okay, good. English, right? English? Okay, good. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna go through all of what you wrote, starting with you. Him, then we're gonna go in circle, okay?
Okay. He is very bad.
Okay.
Intervenes in everything. Does not like anything around him. He is very biased to his lovers. Okay. He treats the people